Well, hello, dear people. How are you doing? I hope you're doing absolutely fabulous. Oops, let's go like this. Okay, I hope you're doing well. I am. Um, that really, that thing really bothers me. Really bugs me. This hat is really weird, shaped really weird. We have Jens, Bowie, and then someone else. Okay. Um, how are my dear viewers doing? I've had an interesting week to say the least. Uh, y- Mostly in a personal personal note. As I have stated at some point in this on, on this channel, uh, I've had this channel for almost 4 years now. Actually, the fourth birthday is actually coming up soon-ish, I think. So to my point, I've probably talked about the circumstances of when I came out as trans. That was 12 years ago now. So I need to do something with the color. I think maybe not. Okay. So 12 years ago, well, this was during the previous we we got the new trans law um last year, but before that that this new law separated the medical medical and legal transition, or the transitioning, if you will. Now, back in the day when I transitioned, these two were hand in hand, due to mostly ideological reasons, because representatives of certain um, certain religious convictions, um, these two had to go together, and there had to be several uh, cruel, inhumane conditions had to be met before the legal transition was possible, etc., etc. Now, when I came out to my family in 2012, in the summer and autumn of 2020, 2012, um, that ended. I ended up having to tell my dad, like my biological father. I have a stepdad. Stepdad now, my what had been my mum's husband. Lovely man. I really like him, and I consider him you know, more of a father figure than my biological father could ever be. Shame on him. Shame on my dad. Now, when I came out to my dad, uh, the first, the initial reaction was, hmm. It was something along the lines of, right. Like, in his opinion, I should have waited until I had a stable job and children, and I shouldn't put my face or name anywhere. You know, whenever that sort of thing was um, talked about anywhere, I shouldn't be involved. And I should have waited with a stable job, and I mean, fuck that. In healthcare, there's no such thing as a stable job. Uh, Anyone who's ever worked in healthcare, there's no such thing. And let me ask you a question. What if that day never came? You know, yeah, sure, I wanted kids, sure, but it just never that never realized. But what if I waited? What if I waited? Um, I had just broken up with my uh, then ex, then already ex-girlfriend of just over 4 years, and it wasn't in my first, it wasn't in my initial interest to even get a new partner at that point. I was like, screw everyone. But anyway, but then come next week, that was a weekend. Uh, the next week, I got all kinds of horrible, vile text messages from him. Now, at the time, um, he was married. So my dad is a priest. All right. I'll come to that later. But he was married to his then wife, his wife number three, with whom who dumped him. Actually, a couple of years ago. Uh, Now he didn't want to confuse. So I from that marriage I have two siblings, a brother and a sister. Well, half brother, half sister, but I call them sisters. Now, brother and sister, yeah. So they were 6 and 1 at the time, and I haven't, and I, you know, all contact was lost because my dad is a prick. But it's this week something happened that I've been waiting for 12 long years. I met my sister this Wednesday. But it's what it's like Friday now. Yeah, Friday evening. It's Friday, August 30th, and tell you what, um, I'm not a big crier. I hardly ever cry, but it was it was really emotional. Um, Seeing her. She's 18 now, so she has a driver driving license and a car, and you know. Uh, so I actually drove from Helsinki to Tampere, where it was most convenient. Um, and it's 2 hours one way because I used to live there, but I moved to Helsinki. But this is something that gives me hope for the future. Uh, because I thought maybe even a year and a half ago, I thought the prospects were quite bleak, but now it's all good, man. Anyway, to the actual topic. There has been quite a lot of controversy over the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics. Um, and the one that I'm picked up for today because it's kind of has to do um, with my channel. It's the two boxers, the Algerian boxer Imane Khelif and the Taiwanese uh, Lin Yuting. Lin Yuting. So, uh, if you'd excuse me, I'm saying something horrible on Twitter. I need to reply. Okay, so the controversy. There's been some shit going on in Paralympics. I think regarding uh, and at least one athlete that whose gender may or may not be um, may or may not fit the standard, but in the controversy started with Imane Khelif and Lin Yuting of Algeria and Taiwan respectively didn't pass the gender test of International Boxing Association. Well, the International Boxing Association has not revealed how they test these, how they do. But one source says that Khelif disqualified because from women's boxing championships organized by International Boxing Association for having high levels of testosterone. And Lin had been stripped of her bronze medal for similar reasons. Now, what is the International Boxing Association? It changed name from it was founded in November of 1946 under as Association Internationale de Boxe Amateur, basically International Amateur Boxing Association in English. Now, the specific unions, the boxing unions, the general athletics and the judo union, etc. They organize the qualifications and the competitions to qualify for the Olympics. But in this case, the International Boxing Association has been stripped of this right, and the International Olympic Committee has been in charge of organizing the boxing matches in the Paris 2024 Paris Olympics. Now, in June of 2019, the International Olympic Committee voted to suspend its recognition of the International or then AIBA, as the governing body for the sport, stripping it of any involvement in the Olympic Games. And the IOC oversaw qualification events and boxing tournament of at the 2020 Olympics already. Um, so why? Um, there is a reason. Basically, the International Boxing Union, the the IBA, the former AIBA, is actually in Putin's pocket, Vladimir Putin's pocket. A Russian former professional boxer, Umar Kremlev, of Boxing Federation of Russia, was elected as the president of AIBA by 57.33% of votes in December of 2020, and someone who was the most clean candidate. After IOC IOC had legitimate concerns probably over some of his candidates. I'm sure. Um, and then there was a when Kremlev got in charge, a new constitution for the International Boxing Association or the federation was adopted the very next day. It was a coup, basically, and 5 new committees were created: Coaches Committee, Champions and Veterans Committee, Competitions Committee, Women's Committee, and the Medical and Anti-Doping Committee. And now, the Umar Kremlev, who actually wasn't born Umar Kremlev, he was born Umar Lutfuloev. So, one of these. Now, what he did under his tenure, the IBA, he marketed himself heavily to become the the president of the Boxing Association, and he moved the IBA's all of its operations from from Switzerland, Lausanne, Switzerland, to Russia, suspended Ukraine from the IBA, and made the Russian state-owned energy company Gazprom the sole sponsor of the IBA. This is not good. This is not ending well already. And they, as so, he became just before the previous Summer Olympics. This whole coup happened, and he just a moment. Yeah, so the International Olympic Committee, IOC, decertified the International Boxing Association, IBA, and has been the IOC has been in control of the boxing competitions and qualifying competitions since the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Now, IOC has stated that the IBA had failed to address governance, finance, and corruption concerns. And in 2022, because the presidency of the International Boxing Association is a fixed term. Now, IBA members, surprise, surprise, voted against holding an election with votes 106 to 36. And this allowed Kremlev to remain the IBA president indefinitely, basically. And after being decertified for the 2020 Olympics, the Kremlev called the IOC president Thomas Bach a chief sodomite. Yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing here is that when the controversy over Imane Khelif failing the gender test, when did this happen? Well, right after, immediately following a match where Khelif beat a Russian, won a Russian boxer. So immediately banned. All right. But the IOC, even though Khelif was disqualified by the Russians from the World Championships in 2023, the International Olympic Committee boxing unit cleared Khelif to compete in Paris, confirming IOC confirmed that she complied with all necessary eligibility and medical regulations for the events. And I have talked about the medical eligibility for Olympics, the trans people's medical eligibility for Olympics before, and I'm not going into that. You can go and look up what the current rules are, but they are quite strict. And the IOC does not specifically test for gender, but there are other tests that would bring up the same issues as gender tests, gender tests. And the IOC has stated that Khelif was born female, was registered as female, lived her life as female, boxed as female, and has a female passport. Tell you what, if she transitioning in Algeria is illegal, it's just simply not possible. Just not possible. All right. If she is to hold an if she is to hold an Algerian passport, how do you think if she's a man, is a man, if she's trans, or if she was trans, all right, how could she ever hold an Algerian passport indicating she's a female if she's trans? I mean, it's normal, quote unquote normal practice that if a country does not um, recognize the legal transition of a person, of their citizen in their country, uh, domestically. They do not uh, recognize they will not give you the passport indicating the opposite sex, or the reassigned sex. The Algerian authorities will not issue a female passport, a passport saying the person is female, if they were assigned male at birth. That is not possible in Algeria. Not possible. Never, ever. No, just not possible. Well, for now, I hope it changes, but no, for now, as of right now, up until now, and in coming years, it's not possible for a transgender woman to get a to get an Algerian trans woman to get an Algerian passport with gender marker female. It's not possible, and vice versa. It's not possible for a trans male, for a native Algerian born as female to get a passport with gender marker male. It's not possible. It's not legally possible. And uh, Khalif's parents, family members have always thought about her as her, as a female. Uh, I read an interview with her dad, talking about uh, of her as a little, when she was, saying, something along the lines of, when she was a little girl, you know. So it's absolutely just Russian propaganda, and I saw, um, an article somewhere, but now I just cannot find it. It was sometime during, on around the closing ceremony of the Olympics, that Russia had actually um, started propagating, started publishing articles and pictures of a Russian athlete, saying that she won, one or two Olympic medals, even though she had never even been to Olympics. So it was just bogus. It was propaganda, and that Russia is actually also paying the athletes that had the Russian and Belarus athletes money, big big amounts of money for those athletes, who were banned from the Olympics, but they will not pay anything, and they will make their lives difficult, for those who were in the Olympics as independent athletes, for those Russian athletes who were there as, or the Belarusian athletes who were there as independent athletes. So, by the way, I've let this warm up a bit because the serving temperature is plus 14 to 18 um, degrees Celsius. It's Pohjola, for an Estonian brewery. It's an imperial stout, Pime Ö. It's Estonian for uh, Dark Night, and it's 13.6 ABV, alcohol by volume. Really, really good. Just sweet and uh, and Lin Yuting, the Taiwanese boxer. They've actually she has actually been she has actually these people who are against um, gender diverse athletes, they say that these just they have unfair advantage, that they just win every fucking match they go into. But for example, Lin Yuting has had total fights 60 and has lost 14 of them. So come on, seriously. And it's really, really strange. Really strange. And where did uh, there we are. Why where oh there. So and the Lin Yuting was she actually has there's also a questionable methodology, and the IBA has refused to elaborate elaborate further on what what's up. And in 2023, when she got back from the competitions she had been um, she had been disqualified from, she actually went to Hangzhou Asian Games, and she went for additional testing when she got back home Taiwan, and she went to the hospital. She went to the hospital, was checked by several doctors, and you know, every independent testing has shown that she is uh, eligible, that she is a woman, and she is eligible to compete in women's series. It's always curious that when someone, an asshole, makes a claim and then says, "Yeah, we did a testing, and this and um, this and this testing was done, and this person failed. This is why." Uh, so, but when independent testing is done, there's absolutely no problem, absolutely no problem, whatever, you know. So strange. I mean, I I really don't get it. And the IBA and therefore Kremlev, the president of the International Boxing Association, um, has spent heavily on promoting himself and has always opposed to independent appointment of judges and referees. Wonder why? The and as I said previously, it's really really concerning that that the Russian state-owned energy company sponsors the IBA, and obviously Gazprom supports the Russian invasion to Ukraine. Uh, Kremlev said it has been, the sponsorship was ended in 2022, but this has been refuted by independent sources. Uh, it's it's really truly weird. It's really curious that both Imane Khelif and Lin Yuting have both been deemed eligible for every single other uh, boxing competition in women's series, including the Olympics. Every single competition, including the Olympics, except the competitions run by IBA. Because, yeah, propaganda reasons, I guess. Don't know why. Please let me know in the chat. What do you think? Now, Russia actually pays um, often, typically about 4 million rubles to Olympic winners. That's about 45,000 US dollars, something along that, something along those lines in euros. So, and even though those who never went, Russia actually pays the money that they would spend, pay the actual champions. They pay the money to those who didn't go, who were barred from going there as a part of the national teams. It's really. Yeah. It's I find this really the situation. I find it absurd, really. Yeah, Putin's puppets propagating propaganda. Exactly that. Yeah, I completely agree. Mm. As a side note, my computer is actually quite fairly quiet because even though interesting, not like that was not Chisholm, but because I actually purchased a new AIO, and with that I solved a problem that I had or didn't know I had, because um, I knew I needed a new AIO, but when I so I bought so I finally got one. When I took off the previous one, let me show you. So a 280 millimeter AIO from Corsair. The pro I what I noticed um, when I took this out was were these were actually I had this on the roof on the top of the case, and I know it was only then that I know when I took this off, I noticed these were as these fans were mounted as intake. So I had this AIO pushing hot air on my GPU. Um, so you can do you see the problem? So hot, and I have like fans on the side, and the front of the front, side, top, and rear. So basically, um, I had three fans as I thought I had uh, the front and side fans as intake, and the rear and the AIO as exhaust. But in reality, the only exhaust I had was the one single fan at the back. And today this was the first day that I actually had time to try out some gaming, and my GPU temperatures went down like 10 degrees Celsius. What more can I say? Like, seriously. And somehow, because yeah, it's defeating his purpose, at least partly. Yeah. So I had basically three three in front, three on the side, and two on the top as intake, and one at the back as exhaust. But I did not I didn't realize this until I because my case is on the floor it's on a stand on the floor. So never it never even occurred to me. I seriously I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed of myself. I really feel ashamed of myself. How could I possibly get this wrong? But now uh, I have a new one, and I double and triple checked that the fans are the right way around. Corsair fans are are good, are really good. Though the new ones, the newer models that I have now, have clear signs on you know arrows that which way the air is going. I mean, these old ones do too, but it's really tiny, and you don't notice these until you know until it's too late. It's I mean, I've built a few two computers, two or three computers now, and I've been updating and upgrading. So, and I cannot understand why and how I could have possibly missed this. It's really strange. Right, hey, I'll tell you something. That's one of the mistakes that turn out to be lessons. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it should be blatantly obvious to anyone who has been meddling with computers, or has installed a few more than one fan, PC fan or the case fan in their lives, that there are certain signs to look for which way the air goes. But some fans, like this one, it has tiny arrows which you can miss very easily, which you can see. This way is the air goes like this, because the the marks are different on each side, and there are these small arrows that top and out. Yeah, and I'm actually in the process of obtaining of building a test bench, but so far it's from leftover parts, and then I have Yes, precisely. Of rotation, direction of rotation, and airflow. So for the testing testing kits or testing parts, really, I have this B B550 Pro Series motherboard from MSI, and I have Ryzen 5 3600 on it, and then I have a SATA SSD from Western Digital, and I have a GTX 1050. No need for no need for extra PCI power cables or anything. So, and I have and I also have an AMD stock cooler. The ones that come with Ryzen 7 CPUs. I have actually I think I have two of those. Two of those um at hand. So I have a few extra extra hardware. So maybe all I miss is power supply and a stick of RAM. Yeah, power supply and a stick of RAM. Yeah. So there we go. Actually, this is my first. This is the GPU from my first ever PC build. I couldn't afford anything better, so I got a uh GeForce GTX Aero ITX 2 GB OC variant. This is actually a solid GPU for a beginner, shall we say? Um, for a budget build, you can't get these. It's hard to come by any of these anymore. These GTX 1050s. It has a DVI port, one HDMI, and one display port. I mean, why not? I've kept it because actually this was a good. This has proven itself to be invaluable. I mean, I earlier this year I had problems with RAM. Uh, I think I was in contact with I had a chat with Jens about lengthy chats about the RAM with Jens, I believe, on Discord, and because I had to diagnose if it was any if it was caused by any components. I mean, because this is just bare bones. I mean, um, this is like invaluable because this doesn't need anything extra. Just plug it in. That's it. So because I had to diagnose got this computer. It had trouble with RAM, blue screening, and all the shit. So I had to make sure it wasn't any other part of her computer. She actually got a new. I bought her a new motherboard because I thought it was the motherboard. I was convinced, I was absolutely convinced it was the motherboard, because the RAM worked on my computer. I put the RAM on my computer. In my rig, I took all of mine. Uh, Hang on, I'll take a comment first because it has to do with the topic of today's video. No from Bui. No surprise considering all the bullshit from Russia is mostly lies. It becomes hard to believe anything coming from Russia because most of the shit they create is propaganda made by Putus are also some nonsense around. Yeah, it's bullshit, but they. So because the RAM that was causing issues with got this computer. I tried two diff. I mean, I tried with with her GPU. She's got a 2060 Super, 8 gig variant. You know, well, I think all 2060 Supers have 8 gigs, but yeah, she's got a 2060 Super, which is a really solid GPU, really good one. She had a. I mean, I was convinced because the RAM worked on my computer, but as it turns out, my because it's I have a high end X570 board, so it's apparently turns out that my board or my system is much more error resistant. It can handle more error, bad hardware better than what any than anything I threw at the. I actually tried the bad RAM with two different motherboards, two different like three different GPUs, two different motherboards, two different B550s, uh, three three GPUs, you know, all the and different CPUs. Yeah, I should have known it's cheaper and a lot easier to get yourself a new kit of RAM and switch it out, or than it is to get a new motherboard and put in the new one. I should have known better. Oh, this weekend, actually, it's where we are on a Friday evening now. So tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, I will be recording and editing uh, a part two of the Pia Ristikakare case, a true crime video, and I will be releasing it sometime next week because there's been new information that has come to light, and I actually, she's from the small town of Piteå, and I actually went there. I went there. I drove past and I took pictures and videos from there, and I went to the Kingdom Hall she went to. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Jehovah's Witnesses churches are called Kingdom Halls. So I actually, and then we drove to Paimia, the Kingdom Hall they went to, and it was really really interesting. And just out of courtesy, I didn't go uh, knock on the door, knock on Pia's dad's door because I knew which house it is. I knew what house it is, which house she lived in, and as I will explain in the video, it's good that I didn't. So you'll get to see that sometime next week. Any questions, darling? Yeah, I think it's the moment to go. Unless you have some comments, questions that need to be addressed before I go. Because otherwise I'll go for tonight. I'm super tired. And I need to wake up tomorrow morning. But I'm currently home alone with the dog. Katya went to her parents' place for the weekend. My mother-in-law has her 60th birthday. I think it's her 60th. So yeah, the thing is that now, I mean, still does make me really, really emotional now that I've, you know, gotten back in contact with my sister. It really makes me like super uh perhaps some walkies before the bed. Yeah, if I can get her up. We just had a walk before I started, but yeah, I'll probably get, because she usually does just one poo poo in the evening, and then she does poo poo in the morning, the afternoon walk, and then the evening walk. Usually, so I might just take her for a little pee pee walkie before before we go before I go to bed. Yeah, so it's really really emotional getting back, having contact with my sister. It's really a storm of emotions because I've missed her very dearly all these years. Uh, Knowing she's been fed she's been fed some lies and propaganda all these years. But the good thing is that she's a smart young woman. She can think with her own brain, she's really smart. I'm surprised by the by but not really surprised, but she was smart and you know strong-willed when she was a child. Yeah, I think it's time for me to go, and I will see you with the new true crime video next week. Bye bye.